This is the video on how to put the Arp9 Evo Lower on the Evo. If you've assembled or disassembled the lower before, you don't need to watch this. It's pretty much the same as with every other one, where you just take the screws out, take the grip off, switch it out, put in the new one, put in the selectors and stuff. If you've done that before, this is not going to help you. It's a longer video. We take the mag out. We're going to start off with the grip by removing, goddamn autofocus, come on, focus. Sometimes focus wants to work with me, sometimes it doesn't. Well, either way, we want to take these two screws out. I'll try to do this a bit faster than I did last time, because last time the video turned out to be like 15 minutes long, I think. Let's see how fast I can go. Take those two screws out. I still had pressure on my gears. On an older Evo, like pre-2018, this is a normal sound because there's no anti-reversal. So the moment you actually pull out the motor, there's nothing keeping the gears from spinning back. There we go. We're gonna have the motor out. Mine is a bit chewed up already, at least the paper on the outside. And you inside here, let me grab a light or something so I can show you exactly what's happening. There we go. If I do this, there's 4 screws. Let me put this light source back. And you need to get all 4 of these screws. I'm gonna quickly loosen all 4 of them first. Yeah, it's quite difficult to work on camera, so please forgive me with that. There we go. There's one. I'm just gonna stick them to the motor. Be careful, don't let them get inside the motor. They are very difficult to get out again, and when there's a screw inside your motor, that will not run. And if you try to run it with a screw inside, it shouldn't be there. It will break. That's number 3. Also be careful that you don't end up dropping it inside the gearbox. Opening the gearbox just because of one screw is something you do not want to deal with. It's still stuck in there. Come on. There we go. That is number 4. Then on both the right and left sides we have screws on the outside of the grip. Come on. On my Evo, those seem to be the same as inside the grip. On yours they might be different. Just to be safe, keep them separate. And that is the grip. You just make sure your connectors are inside the grip when you start pulling, so they're not in the way. And then you can either leave it hanging just off the cables. For the purposes of this video, I'm actually going to pull the cables. I'm going to try to pull the cables through. I am currently struggling with that. Is that because? Oh, that's because they're crossing over. There we go. To take off the grip, I've bent these connectors a bit. I don't recommend doing that. If you don't have to take off the grip, I recommend just leaving it. And then you need one of these. So both on this lower and on the regular Evo Lower, you need these to get through the trigger guard and unscrew the screw holding on the lower. This one is different from the others, so make sure you keep that one safe no matter what version you have. Now we're coming to Easy part if you're using a standard Evo lower, or tough part if you're using one of my printed designs, and that is pushing out the pin. It is a pretty tight fit. It might not come all the way off. This didn't. What I recommend is grabbing like a pin pushing tool or screwdriver that's the right size, pushing that in, and then just pushing that through until you've worked the pin out. There we go. Be a bit careful so you don't break anything, and then you can just pull the lower off. There you go. Make sure you don't lose the spring that is in here. You need to take off the bolt lock. I need to quickly grab something. There we go. Then I'm going to grab the spring, because you need that as well. And then you will need to take off the selectors. Make sure you take the selector springs off. They're not that easy to lose because they're quite a bit bigger, but whoops, sorry about that. But they are still a hassle. Then we unscrew the selectors. They are different, both inside and outside, so I keep the left side to the left and the right side to the right. Now we have an empty lower, not completely, but all the parts that we need are now off the lower. We take our Arp9 lower. I'm going to start off with the selectors. I recommend using the selector shim print. It is literally just like maximum 1 or 2 layers maybe. I recommend using that. Oh, give me a second. There. Because it makes it easier to line this all up and keep the gears the right distance from the outside selectors to where it's not like snagging on the inside of the print and it's easy to turn. Don't over tighten the screw in the grub screw in the selector. It is just threaded into the plastic. Then you pull out the shim and that should be turning freely. I am going to grab one of the springs that were just stuck to the motor. Make sure that the bent part is pointing towards the selector when you put it in. And just push it in all the way. And that works. And now we're going to repeat the same thing for the other side, for the left side selector. Grab the gear, put it together with the shim, grab the outside selector, make sure you line that up right. There we go. Then with the shim on, press it together, screw it in. For me it's skipping, but that's just because the bit is actually getting stuck here, because I don't have the proper iFixit bit. Pull it out. Okay, what I actually did is I didn't put enough pressure on. I'm going to untighten, retighten this. If it's easily moving while the shim is in between, it is too loose. Let me just... There we go. Yeah, you need a bit of force to pull the shim out. And then it will move freely once the shim is out. Same as the first. Grab the spring, bend parts toward the selector. Get that in there. And then that's gonna be clicky. Now we're going to the bolt lock or bolt release, whatever you may call it. I'm just realizing there's some stringing right where the spring goes. There you go. Make sure you actually clean your prints up, unlike me. Remove all the stringing. I lost the spring. It might be difficult to get it in, so take your time. And then, as always, line this up. It might be difficult to get in at first. Come on. There we go. And once it snaps in, make sure the spring is still in place. That is still in place. I can put in the pin. There we go. And then we're back to the complete gun. We've now moved every piece over that we need. There we go. Make sure with the selector that's all the way forward. Same with your selectors here. Because it's easy to line the gears up incorrectly, which might screw with your selectors. When dropping in, be careful with the wires. And then it should basically click in place. There we go. Let's check the selectors. Oh, I'm just now realizing that one isn't moving. Push that all the way forward. There we go. Now it's moving. Okay. First of all, make sure the pin is all lined up and push that in. It might be difficult at first, as I said. It is a very tight fit. I tend to just take a blunt end of a screwdriver and just give it a bit of force on the table. Make sure it's all the way in. Then we go back to the small singular screw that is under the trigger guard. We just line that up. Might be a bit difficult to line it up at first. I think I got it. And then you just tighten that down. It is directly tightened into the gearbox. So get it tight, but don't over tighten it because you will strip the gearbox, which is a real hassle to replace. There we go. Now the lower is secured down. You can throw the gun around by the lower. If you've taken off the grip, there is a slot down here at essentially the front right side of the grip, and you want to get these through. Make sure you don't cross them over. You want the red at the back, or let's just say you want them the way you took them out. And then, this is difficult to show on camera. I bend this. Push the connectors through the slot. There we go. So they're all the way through. I am jumbling these wires up again. There we go. Then, being careful to keep the wires right, put on the grip, take the two side screws. Nope, that's the wrong bit. There we go. Two side screws. I tend to just screw them in a little so they keep the grip on. I don't have to deal with a completely loose grip that can fall off at any second while screwing in the 4 screws on the inside. I recommend picking which screw you're going to put in and where. Orient that one down towards the table, so if the screw falls off your bit, it falls to the side and not towards the center into the gearbox. And then, as always, because there are 4 screws, I did just drop a screw, I just said it, I haven't. Pick the one across diagonally. Come on. There we go. Screw that in next, so that you're not going left side or right side first and then or back or front first. You're going, for my example, I'm going right side back first, left side front. That way you're going to avoid putting uneven pressure or getting the screws or the grip like aligned improperly. Some people only use 2 screws. I recommend putting all 4 back. That's number 3. And then, as I said, always orient the hole in the grip that you're trying to put the screw in towards the bottom. So don't drop the screw inside the gearbox. There we go. Same as before, while tightening them all down completely. Do that in a cross pattern as well. Just good practice. There we go, and that is the grip attached. Make sure your wires line up as they did before. For you it might be different. For me, I have the red wire in the front of the grip and the black wire in the rear. Look at your motor. One side will have a plus. That's the side that the red wire goes to. In my case, I'm putting that one to the front. And then you attach the motor tabs back like you had them attached when you took apart the grip. There we go. That is attached. You take the bottom plate of the grip. I still have the screws in there. Make sure that the angles line up. My black wire came apart. Something that can happen if you're removing your motor clamps a lot. They might become loose enough that they will just fall off. In my case, I'm just gonna give it a bit of force with some tongs. Put that on. There we go. That is on properly now. And put on the motor plate. As I said, this edge here has to line up, so the screw lines up properly and points the right direction. What I recommend while holding down is just quickly start each screw so you can let go without sending a screw across the room. And then it's just screwing that down and making sure that's nice and tight. And that's basically it. You can then take your Arp9 mags and then just run those in your Scorpion Evo now.